July 26, 1981. A nondescript apartment in New York City. The silence is absolute, yet the air is thick with the scent of cheap cologne and gunpowder. For 6 years, the Bonanno crime family lived in this living room. They ate at the table. They laughed. They talked business while a woman sat in the corner nursing a drink, seemingly invisible. A phone rings. Joe Pistone, known to the underworld as Donnie Brasco, is gone. The feds have pulled him out, but they left the most dangerous witness behind. The mob didn't just lose a soldier, they lost their privacy. While the FBI focused on the wiretaps, the real surveillance wasn't a hidden microphone. It was the wife. Maggie Pistone didn't just live the lie, she curated it. She saw the blood on the sleeves before they were washed. She heard the names whispered in sleep. The legend says Donnie Brasco took down the mob. The reality? He was the face, she was the vault. The world knows Joe Pistone as the legendary infiltrator, but Maggie Pistone knew a ghost. To the Bonannos, he was Donnie, the savvy jewel thief. To the FBI, he was Agent 6132. But in the quiet of their home, he was a stranger. Maggie wasn't just a housewife, she was the silent curator of a dual identity, forced to witness the steady erosion of her husband's soul as the line between the badge and the pinky ring blurred into a single bloody smear. As Donnie climbed the Bonanno hierarchy, the mafia moved into the Pistone household. The power structure wasn't just a chart in a basement, it was a physical presence at their dinner table. Maggie watched the transition from low-level street hustle to high-stakes racketeering. She mapped the hierarchy of the wise guys by the gifts they brought and the fear they left behind. While Joe played the part, Maggie cataloged the soldiers, the capos, and the killers, seeing the cracks in the commission's armor that even the FBI's surveillance teams missed. The mask didn't just fit, it began to fuse. The turning point arrived when the FBI demanded Joe get made, a death sentence if he failed, and a moral one if he succeeded. Maggie saw the shift, the coldness in his eyes, the way he flinched at a siren, the sudden violent silence. He wasn't just reporting on the Bonannos anymore, he was becoming the very thing he was sworn to destroy. The work had followed him into their bed, a third party in a marriage built on a foundation of state-sanctioned lies. The Department of Justice demanded results, the Bonannos demanded blood. As the operation swelled, the political stakes shifted from simple arrests to the systematic dismantling of the 5 families. Washington viewed Donnie as a precision instrument, but Maggie saw the collateral damage. Every successful hit, every hijacked truck, and every bribe paid to a city official was a notch on a belt that was slowly tightening around their family's throat. The government wanted a trophy. Maggie just wanted her husband to remain human. The walls began to sweat. To the Bonannos, Donnie was the golden boy. To the FBI, he was an asset to be milked. Maggie was the only one who saw the crosshairs centering on his back. The paranoia wasn't just a side effect, it was the atmosphere. Every late-night knock and every redirected phone call was a potential death warrant. She lived in a vacuum of forced silence, unable to trust the neighbors, the police, or even the agency that had turned her husband into a ghost. The betrayal wasn't coming from the street, it was brewing in the paperwork. The end didn't come with a shootout, it came with a handshake. On July 26, 1981, the FBI pulled the plug, abruptly tearing Donnie Brasco out of the underworld. But for the Bonanno family, the execution was internal. Sonny Black Napolitano, the man who trusted Donnie like a brother, was summoned to a meeting from which he would never return. His hands were severed, a message that he had let an outsider touch the sacred inner circle. Maggie watched from the periphery as the men who had sat at her table were systematically erased by their own code, a bloody ledger balanced in a basement in Brooklyn. The explosion didn't end with the arrests, it radioactivized their lives. The witness protection program became a gilded cage, a permanent exile from a world they no longer fit. As the Bonanno hierarchy collapsed under the weight of Joe's testimony, Maggie was forced to scrub her own history. The FBI took the headlines, but the Pistones took the haunting realization that they were now the prey. Every unfamiliar car on their new street was a potential hit squad, and every shadowed corner held the ghost of a life they could never reclaim. In the end, the badge and the black heart of the mafia were two sides of the same coin. Donnie Brasco became a legend, but Maggie Pistone became a monument to the cost of that glory. The law won, the Bonannos fell, yet the truth remains buried in the silence she kept. Organized crime is not a movie, it is a parasitic bond that consumes both the hunter and the hunted. In the pursuit of justice, the Pistones traded their names for a ghost story, proving that when you stare into the abyss of the underworld, the abyss doesn't just stare back, it moves in.